The future of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac taking center stage on Capitol Hill again today. The House Financial Services Committee is still searching for answers about what to do with the two mortgage giants that owe the U.S. taxpayers, that's you and me, nearly $150 billion. With us now is the ranking Republican member of the House Financial Services Committee, Alabama Congressman Spencer Bachus. Welcome, Congressman. Great to see you again, sir.
Thanks, Jerry. I always enjoy being on your show.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, I heard a lot of reporting on this meeting you were in today, this committee meeting, and it just doesn't seem like a lot got done. Are we getting any closer to figuring out what to do with Fannie and Freddie?
Well, I think we define an issue, and that's, is there going to be a taxpayer guarantee? And the 6 witnesses for the government basically said there needs to be a taxpayer guarantee, and the 2 Republican witnesses says there doesn't need to be a guarantee. Now, the Democrat witness admitted that there's no way to know what so-called tail risk is. So it's difficult to price for what we saw 2 years ago. So, you know, I think the argument is the taxpayer going to be left holding the bag?
Well, we've already held the bag for a long time. And I know you believe that we should shut these things down. But, of course, the criticism of that is if you shut down Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the market's in turmoil. It will make the situation even worse. How do you respond to that?
I think short term, the answer to that is it would throw the housing market and the real estate market and the financial system into some turmoil, and I don't think we are proposing doing that. What we're saying is let's have a plan, or let's pass legislation that gives us a path to privatization. What we have now, and let me say this, the industry has joined with the administration in saying the government needs to get behind these loans. But what that does, as Paul Volcker said, it privatizes the profits, but it socializes the losses. In other words, as long as everything performs well, you know, your companies that do these mortgages, the lenders, they make money. But when things turn out badly, the government is stuck with the tab. And the government is just another word for the taxpayer.
Well, that's right. Well, you know, one of the suggestions out there is that the consumers pay for their own federal backing, for the guarantee themselves. What do you make of that? Is that a scenario that would work?
Well, the same thing's true of deposit insurance, federal deposit insurance. It's true of the National Flood Program. It's true of the pension benefit program, and those premiums in all those programs turned out not to be sufficient. So even if you can get over the difficulty of pricing for risk, are you going to intervene and not really collect enough, because you may be having a social policy to put people in homes that really shouldn't be in homes? And that's a mistake that both parties have made in the past. And in fact, Fannie and Freddie are starting to make no or little down payment loans, a high loan to value to people with questionable credit. So they're already, you know, less than 2 years after the financial meltdown, they're already beginning to make the mistakes that cost the taxpayers $150 billion.
Subprime is back. I've got to ask you, Congressman.
Yes. And it's all the government, and there's not an implied guarantee. There's an explicit guarantee.
Right.
And we don't really know whether that's, you know, could end up costing us $500 billion, $1 trillion, or what.
Right.
But it's going to cost a lot of people that took no risk, did not have a loan, are paying their mortgage on time, or own their own home.
You know, I've got to think that anything to do with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, it's on hold until after the election. Am I right? It seems like nothing controversial is getting done.
Well, absolutely. You know, 2 years ago, the administration said we need a plan. That's a priority. A year ago, they said it's going to be in the financial reform bill, but it was just now they say it's too complex, and they're pushing into January. You know, they're just continue to push it down the road, but every month that it goes by, it costs taxpayers more. The industry is not getting into the market because they don't know the rules.
Right.
We need certainty. Even as I said, the professor from the Wharton School of Business, Professor, I think, Wachter, she said we need to know what the rules are, and they need to be certain, and we need to know now.
I got to ask you, though, you know, the GOP could take the House. in November. I know that's what you guys are planning on. If that happens, will you run the Financial Services Committee? And what would you do? What would be on your agenda?
Well, to privatize Fannie and Freddie, that's in our pledge to America. Now, we won't do it all at once. It'll be a 4 or 5 year process. And we will salvage some value out of Fannie and Freddie. You know, there's a database over there, there's personnel, and those can be privatized. It would not be a loss. And the commitments that have already been made would be honored, but there wouldn't be any new commitments. If you go on their website today, you see some pretty astonishing things where they're saying to people, look, your mortgage company won't do this for you, and you couldn't get a loan from them, but come to us, we'll make you a good deal. Well, it may be a good deal for the borrower, but is it a good deal for the taxpayer?
Well, I think that's a great question. Spencer Bachus, thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you again.
Thank you, Jerry.